Against the history of European imperialism, American colonization, forced Native relocation to reservations and Native boarding schools, and the effects of the physical and cultural holocaust to the Native ways of life is the current impact of cultural imperialism. Defined loosely as the manner by which the dominant culture imposes and educates their beliefs of value, a quick look at the structure of American education and the Western University shows a few immediate and dissonant constructs of value that require immediate investigation. If an increase in Native student and faculty success or respectful acknowledgement of Native cultures across American society is to be imagined.
Anishna, how are you? Vidasage in addition cause. My name is Light That Is Coming. My English name is Warren Petoskey, and I am a member of the Little Traverse Bay Band of Odawa Indians, a citizen of the Wagnuk-Sing Odawa Nation, and I'm also Minikanju Lakota from Pine Ridge.
My name is Alphonse Petwanquit. I am a member of the Wikwemekong Unceded Reserve, located on Manitoulin Island, Ontario, Canada.
My name is Susan Sturhack, and I am a member of the Saginaw Chippewa tribe.
Bonjour, Judy Patman Dijnakash, Mishik Kanan Dodum, Mount Pleasant and Dojba, Saginaw Chippewa, Anishinaabe, Kwe, Nanda. My name is Judy Pam. I'm from the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe of Michigan from Mount Pleasant in the Isabella Reservation. I have the pleasure of working at the Zeboyne Culture Center, and I told you I was from the Turtle Clan.
I'm Sandy Momper. I'm an enrolled member of the Bad River Band of the Lake Superior Tribe of Chippewa Indians in Upper Wisconsin.
Okay, my name is Andrew Wilkerson, and I'm from the First Nation in Sarnia, Canada, the Chippewas.
When I was in the public school systems, and my educational experience started out here in Stockbridge, Michigan. And in those days, the references were still in the history books, the references to godless pagans, bloodthirsty heathens. And every time that those words came up in the book, the students in the class would all turn and look at me, because I was the only Native student in the school system.
I have a student right now, she's Odawa. She emails me twice a week and says, I can't get out of bed today. I won't be in class today. I can't get out of bed. Loneliness, alienation in a system that doesn't accommodate us in any way. It's a real test of fortitude to get through college as a Native student.
In every situation where I've been, in school, at work, it was always the chief. Chief is coming, get out of the way. He's mad, he looks mad. I could hear the arrows hitting the walls here this morning, they would say.
But all of that public school experience set the precedence that when the possibility came to attend college, I couldn't imagine 4 more years of that gauntlet, or 8 years, or whatever it was. I just couldn't do it.
Many Native people are very reluctant to come to school. Education, a direct result of the boarding schools. Education was a place you went to lose your identity. You lost your language, you lost your culture, and you were probably going to be sexually abused and definitely spiritually and psychologically abused. So education got a bad rap.
I would like to see at University of Michigan a boarding school survivors therapist program set up in every major college in the country so that people are equipped to handle the mental health issues that Indians have.
From December to March, '21 children from the age of 9 to 15 committed suicide because They feel their world is hopeless and there's no reason for them to go on. We have the highest suicide rate in our youth, among our youth, of any other ethnic group in the United States.
So I found out this student was homeless. I said, "Where are you living?" He said, "In my car." And I said, "What are you going to do in the winter?" He said, "I don't know. I think I'll couch hop."
To yourself, but to your family. When we say family, I'm not saying just blood relatives. You know, it's that obligation to the community. So if you have a death, you know, okay, so it might not be what's considered the norm of the immediate family, but if I'm required to be there for that 4-day ceremony, I'm required to be there. That's my responsibility. Does that mean that I think anything that I'm learning in the university or that the exam week, you know, it's more important? No, but I have a responsibility I have to take care of. And it's not that I don't want to take care of this other responsibility. I might need some help on figuring out how to balance those.
This is the essence of the difference between us, I think, and non-natives. Native people are taught to think for themselves, but always act for the good of the group. Mainstream society is taught, think like the group and act in your own self-interest. And this is what it boils down to in essence.
There is no such thing as a common American experience. You might say, well, since you're here, you must know this, you must have had that. There's got to be something common in your background that makes you like me, when in fact, who you're born to and when you're born and what you believe in this world puts you at a far different spot on the entry plane when you walk in these doors.
A lot of students feel that individual competition among students is a very different kind of experience. There's a lack of respect between the students with one another in general. One student said that something that I was taught was that everyone has something to teach someone else. It's a matter of respect, and not everyone can do everything, but we can all do something. And they felt that coming to the university that was a really difficult environment to kind of like a shock all of a sudden, that to be immediately in competition with your peers.
This model of Western education organized around individual achievement and the rewards being personal advancement and higher income doesn't fly necessarily with Native people. We are taught materialism is not something we value. Capitalism is not something we value either.
When you think of education since the day, we've encountered Europeans, it was all about us acquiring their knowledge, adapting to their way of life, adapting to their value system, adapting to their language. Stop being Anishinaabe. Stop thinking that way. And then adapt. And a lot hasn't changed.
For us, we actually have our own research methods. There's now a large literature on indigenous research that one can cite, and one can develop an entire dissertation project or an entire research stream out of. But the current tenure requirements in a lot of universities were not designed with those methods in mind. So for the subset of us that are interested in those research methods, I think a lot of us have had to work very closely with our department chairs.
I had a Native student here, a Native doctoral student in the School of Social Work, and she wanted to do her work on Pine Ridge and do indigenous methodologies. Well, we had to educate the whole committee on what are indigenous methodologies, and all through the process we had to do this education piece. And then one of the other things, when I was doing the institutional review board interactions when I first got here, I tried to educate them about some of the requirements. They're supposed to be protecting the participants, but in terms of Native peoples, you don't understand the culture at all, and they were too intrusive. But I remember arguing with someone in higher up position in the IRB, and they said, well, we don't want you to feel like we're circling the wagons. And I thought, did she really just say that to me?
The other thing, when you were talking about indigenous methods, that reminded me of is one of my side jobs as a Native person and ethicist and someone with a PhD is I'll meet somebody who's a student, and it's usually a her, but there are some men that this happens to, but they're literally getting completely ripped off by their dissertation advisor. And especially in the circles that I run in, oftentimes it's a dissertation advisor who really wants to come across as if they're doing community-based research, but man, they just don't have the ties. Right. But they got this student who's, a tribal member here, grew up in the community. They have the ties. They want to do work in a similar way that I do out of that context. And that advisor, because he or she is so much more savvy about how the field works, they can capitalize on that without benefiting that student. And that's actually one of the sad traditions you see, is that incentive that would actually make an advisor rip off, harm, and a lot of times spoil the entire career of that student, just for the sake of being able to say that they're grounded in communities or they're grounded in tribal nations. I mean, these are people that already have tenure. It's like they already make a good salary. They already have a reputation in their field.
Our knowledge has been here for tens of thousands of years. And it's not only of value to ourselves, but the world needs this knowledge. They need to hear our language. They need to know how we think. We can help them as much as we are helping each other.
We need to include our cultural knowledge. I have students that are so surprised when I tell them the things that were developed and invented by the Michigan tribes, things like snowshoes and skis and things they never even thought about, maple syrup, hockey. They're shocked. Where would they learn these things? So I always say they can't teach what they don't know. It's time that they did know. I have never, in almost 30 years of teaching, ever had a single student that knew that 29 states were named by Native Americans in this country.
We need help to save that language. We need curriculum developed to fit into today's educational systems. We now know in Michigan, by the time you're out of high school, you have to have 2 language credits. But we don't want to stop there. We don't want, just like he said, have 2 years of a language and we can say hi and hello. No, this is a cup. We don't want that. We want to be able to converse in our language as well as English.
They always wanted me to designate whether I was Native American or American Indian. And I would cross that out and I would write Waganuk Singodawa and Minikanju Lakota. Those are the nations that I come from.
We have the right in these institutions to maintain our identity. In many cases, we're not even recognized in those classrooms. So curriculum is one way that Native American achievements and advancements can be built in to many of our different areas of study and learning. Not only that, we need more Native professors, role models for our students.
Every Indian student in this academic environment needs the personal time. They need to come in to their job counselor and see a Native face. Oh, what res are you from? Where are you from?
Some of the really important things that we'd like to see happen at the university level to kind of help curb that stress and just coming into that new environment and to gather Native students together and in the community. We feel it's critical to hire multiple, if possible, Native support recruitment, to support recruitment and retention, along with like event logistics.
I would really love to see universities be accountable to tribal governance in similar ways to how they're accountable to state, or federal governments. And that would be a huge difference, because I think a lot of the different initiatives about diversity and so on, they'd be a lot more meaningful if people in the university already actually believed that the tribal governments were active.
We're letting the federal government off the hook. We're totally letting them off the hook. We need to make them, they signed the treaties for education. They made agreements with us. They took 96% of our land. And what do we get in return for this? $91 million, just the state of Michigan, the tribes pay in gaming taxes. But we have to beg for education dollars.
What the University of Michigan needs, and other universities have, because I have visited them, is a center for the Native students and the Native faculty.
Well, you need to get the tribes, you need to get their confidence that they can encourage their students to go to these schools and with feeling the support system that they would at home. When an Indian goes to college, they leave their home behind, they leave their spirituality behind, but there's nowhere to actually really share that on campus unless you meet with other students that are Native American.
It could be something, it could start out as something like a house with a backyard, so that they could have a garden. But it would be where they would have activities and a meeting place, and they could get tutoring, and they could get support, and then when prospective students come, it could be a place maybe that they could stay overnight.